Welcome to the Essential Libertarians, giving you the tools for self-governance. Today, we have a special episode about Elon Musk's new CEO pick, and I'm joined by the one, the only, Agorist Nexus. Insanity is free. What's up, Jeremy?
Nothing much. How you doing? I got a plate of post-workout carbs and protein to trigger the libs and the Republicans pretending to be libertarians.
Nice. I got a mocha right here and some sparkling water, so let's do it.
Yeah, I got fucking like jasmine rice, really well seasoned with some black beans that I boiled in some chicken and onions, and some diced tomatoes, and I added some ham and some mayo to that and a little bit of cheese. I got it on 24 bread. This is nutritionally complex as fuck. And then I got this shit over here. It's like a protein shake of 45 grams. I'm ready to off some feds. Ha! Anyway, in Minecraft, that was humor.
All right, so the story that a lot of people are talking about, which I'm not particularly shocked. I always said there was something off here because why would, he just say like, oh, okay, I'm going to buy Twitter. And then what happened was I said, okay, let me see what's going to happen. I give everything a fair shot. I started to see a lot of libertarian accounts getting banned. And I started to see a lot of free speech. It wasn't my free speech didn't extend that far. Yes, some accounts got unbanned, but to me, what the game, how they play this game is they're like, oh, here's good cop, bad cop. And then you have bad cop do a bunch of bad things. And then you say, oh, we're going to give you the good cop now. Oh, here's some of your freedom back. Here's some of your economics back. Here's.
And it's always a ratcheting effect, like gradually, like the tick always ends up higher than before in the terms of like tyranny and total control.
Correct. That to me is how they play the game, where they say, oh, wasn't this person bad? Wasn't our opposition bad? Here's some controlled opposition. Oh, the controlled opposition's great. They're funny. They say this, they do this. They gave me a bunch of my freedoms back. The economy's a little bit better. I love this. And then they say, okay, let's get rid of the controlled opposition. And then let's put in some real opposition. And to me, we're in a worse spot than we were before. I'm not necessarily a fan of, the former Paragon or whoever it was, and the rest of, the people before. I'd like to believe Jack Dorsey is kind of coming to terms with some of the things that he did and happened to him. So maybe that's a good thing. But I think we're actually in a worse spot now because this woman is not just she's not just a janitor at the WEF. She is as a chair, my understanding. Linda,
She's a chair on two different committees. She's the chair on future of work, and she's the vice chair on advertising.
Yeah.
And she worked on the ad council.
Yes. And she was a very, very, very big proponent of pushing hard. I wouldn't be surprised if she was still a proponent of pushing like lockdowns.
And you know what else is great? You know what's fucking awesome about this chick? She comes in. You know how Parler? I've said Parler sucked asshole. People shouldn't join it. It's bad. And I really concretely proved everything I was saying. Because, hey, why does this website, which is like not stripping EXIF data, why does this website, which is like directly extremist, why does this need your government information or your payment details in order to, let you post? In order to let you do certain things, direct message, send links, get premium features. Premium features like the basic features of every other fucking social network, right? People ate that shit up. January 6th was like a test bed. It was a test ground for the kind of shit they were going to pull. And it was basically, hey, come here. It's free, allegedly. Free speech. And, now give us your KYC information. And, oh, shit. Suddenly your KYC information is now known to the feds associated with a bunch of illegal activity and a bunch of other garbage, right? Wow. we didn't do that on purpose. We didn't leave our databases vulnerable on purpose. We didn't make this easy to scrape and associate a bunch of EXIF data on purpose. Whoopsie. Gosh, that just happened by accident. A bunch of you are going to get arrested by the FBI now. And it was like that here as well. And I told people it was going to be like that, and they didn't believe me. But now we've got the WEF slowly encroaching their way into Twitter after a bunch of people gave them KYC details. And I wonder who warned them about that. It's
Imagine
like,
that.
you know, maybe I've been right this whole time, but you know, people don't like to admit that. It makes them uncomfortable, you know. Anyway, go ahead.
All right. So with all of this, that's my understanding of how this works, and it generally works as in that I've seen that pattern quite a lot, where they have opposition, they get controlled opposition. It looks good for a while. You get people to kind of back off, like, oh, look, someone is fighting on my behalf, so I'm going to chill. Oh, look, things got better. Oh, hey, I'm, a little bit now. I'm not black pilled, but sometimes they go full white pilled, and then I'm like, okay, we're not out of the woods yet. There's still stuff that needs to be done. And then what happens is they bring in opposition, and it gets worse. I'm not gonna say I'm black pilled in this situation. Even I think she's going to be really, really bad. I think it's going to tank Twitter for a while, and then something else will happen. Personally, if I had to say like what I'd like to happen, and you might disagree with me, I feel Jack Dorsey has libertarian leanings. He did post Anatomy of the State. I know that isn't the greatest, thing ever. That doesn't make him Ron Paul or anything. It doesn't make him a Mises member, but he posted some Anatomy of the State stuff. I've seen him advocate for Bitcoin. I don't exactly know what he believes, but it seemed to me, if I could read body language on the Rogan interview with Tim Pool, that that one lady, Viva, I can't remember her name, but she was
Vijaya
Gotti. Yeah, she was sitting there and she was coming up with all these things. And what I've seen this in companies where HR has a certain crazy ideology, but a lot of people just are regular people. And I think Jack was just a guy who wanted his company to do well. And then he hired people who had crazy ideas like her, who were friends with Hillary Clinton, who were friends with a bunch of neoliberals and neocons, and they tanked it. And I don't know, fingers crossed that Jack gets back to, in my opinion, where he should be. Now, maybe you disagree. I don't know.
I do.
You don't like Jack Dorsey?
No. And one of the reasons I don't is the reason I just said, that, maybe we shouldn't be trusting somebody who just posts a link to Anatomy of the State. Like, yeah, I'm so sure that this guy who was directly working with the government in a variety of ways and cases, yeah, that guy, I'm sure he cares. I'm sure he supports like liberty or whatever. Even though the Twitter like background folks were working with the government this whole fucking time, and I'm very sure that he cares. And that's not a honeypot as well. Getting a bunch of libertarian accounts to say, "Ooh, he posted link," and then they all reply to the same thing. They all retweet him. They all say based, and then what happens? They have a list of libertarian accounts that are very high profile that they can just censor, and they know who to target. They know who's gonna flock. They know who to like point the next ban hammers at, and they can just do it. And Bitcoin, they buy an amount of a cryptocurrency. They pump and dump by making it seem real popular and then ride the downtrend after selling, because they can watch these trends in real time.
Yeah.
They know how to market manipulate. Musk did the same thing with Doge multiple times. I'm not going to be fooled by saying I like Bitcoin to be libertarian. It's not my bag. Bitcoin can be used in a libertarian context, or it can be used to run Binance. It can be used in a libertarian context, or it can be Sam Bankman-Fried. It can be used in a libertarian context.
You can use anything in cryptocurrencies. You can use blockchain for nefarious things.
Yes.
You can use them for evil things. My question is, yes, I understand the federal government had backdoors. I understand there was infiltration.
They had front doors, but go ahead.
They had front doors as well. So my question is, after a while, though, there's people like John Perkins. There's people who've been on the inside who, in my opinion, not people like Trump. Really, I don't think they ever learned. But I think there are people who have been, who maybe thought they were doing a good. I don't necessarily think there's people at the DMV who are incompetent. There's bureaucrats who are evil. There's intelligence agents who are evil. I think there are some people who maybe had good intentions, thought they were doing the right thing, and then fell into a trap of, hey, now I'm stuck here and I want my company to work. And I really
any one of them could have blown the whistle at any point. We had to wait for the Twitter files. That tells you everything you need to know.
So I don't, I mean, maybe Jack is good, but maybe not. But maybe Twitter's just done for. It could also be that, hey, it's just time to go to Bastion and call it a day and say that
It's
Twitter.
not done for. It's doing better than ever. That's the reason why WEF wants in, because now they have a much broader base of people that they can easily control by their KYC.
Yeah, but here's my thing. I think it's done for not because it's doing well, because look who's CEO, and then people at least now. I'm not going to say that. I think we could debate, and you probably have a different opinion. Is there a mass awakening? But even people on the streets, at least to me, I'm not going to say everybody's like looking into everything like Kareem. I know what the Bilderberg group is. I know what all these rituals are. Like, I'm looking into everything. I know. But people are starting to, I want to give people some credit. People are starting to look into things and say that, the media is lying. This is not what they tell me. The mainstream media has lower ratings. I think that also translates into people are going to have a lot of distrust for people like Linda Yacaro, which is that's my hope. That's what I'm banking on. And I have an optimistic look, because if she does the stuff that she wants, which I think is going to be even more controlling than people like Vijay Gotti, then people are going to turn the other way and figure out something else. I don't think the WEF has as much power as people want. It's a think tank organization.
What? Dude, the reason we talk about the Bilderberg group at all is because they get together and talk. It's basically an elitist think tank. And if that's not what gets things done, I don't know what would be, dude.
But that's not what think tanks in and of themselves don't get things done. Case in point.
Yes, they do.
What I'm saying is, well, let me qualify this. Leeson has a lot of great ideas, in my opinion. How many other ideas have been implemented yet? I haven't gotten in office yet, so probably not any of them. But a think tank needs policy enforcement, and ultimately they need groups of people to push it out. I'm not even going to say I hate all think tanks, because a think tank can be used for good or bad. But I'm not 100% sure that this whole WEF takeover of Twitter is going to end in their favor.
Why?
Because people are at least awake enough to see it. Like, people were upset about it. There's a lot more people I know now that understand who Klaus Schwab is. Like,
and you know what those people did? Those people heard Elon Musk say, I don't care if I need to lose money, I'm still going to say what I need to. They acted like because he said something in a serious tone for once in a fucking MSNBC interview that he's now on their side again. He's our man on the inside. Look at him. He can never be taken down. He's our awesome guy. No, fuck you. And they did that the same thing every single time he employs something dystopian and tyrannical. They're just like, oh, but he said this real cheeky thing later. Fuck that.
It's the same thing. I'm seeing, but I will see that I'll agree with you on one part. I'm seeing a whole lot of like the same stuff I see with Trump over and over and over and over and over again. I guess Trump got this hero complex and this savior complex in people, and then they tried the Q thing, and then that didn't work because the pizza box on like the sandwich on the French fries with Sonic the Hedgehog running didn't decode into anything. And then they're like, oh, but there has to be someone out there who will save me. Oh, Elon Musk might save me. He said something mean about the WEF. He said give people their freedom back. Blah blah blah. And then a lot of people just latch on to this. Oh, well, if it's not this guy who's going to save me, must be this guy. Must be. A lot of people don't want to take personal responsibility and say, hey, how could I solve this myself?
Yes.
Or not even myself. How could I solve this in my community? How, okay, I can't just wait for Elon. I can't wait for Trump. They're not going to help me anyway. I can't wait for my governor, who's probably, just either co-opted or doesn't know what's going on, or is lock, stock, in step with them like Gavin Newsom is. I will say think tanks provide the ideas, and then politicians just put them through. But politicians...
Think tanks are de facto lobbying organizations. You ever look into the SPN?
Yeah, and I know what you mean. Like, I was explaining to people, the World Economic Forum said they wanted to get rid of personal car usage. Gavin Newsom put in, I think by 2030 something, that California can't have any gas cars under the guise of climate change. So what they're doing essentially is de facto like, we know the grid can't handle it, and most people can't really own stuff, so we'll limit personal car usage by putting in policy. So yes.
No. And the reason that's not true is because they want people on the electric cars because they're trackable and controllable.
They're trackable and controllable, but there's not enough. Most people cannot go out and buy a Tesla. Let's face it. So
you're right. That means the government needs to give Elon Musk even more money and an even greater share of regulatory credits so that he can slash prices.
No, you know what that means? Personal car, you'll own nothing and you'll like it. Personal car ownership goes. That's what happens.
You'll own nothing and you'll be happy means that you'll just have to rent your Tesla. You'll go through their that's part of the thing, that whole boring tunnel thing in the Las Vegas thing. Oh yeah, they went from having a hyperloop where it was going to be, some underground awesome thing where your car would lower down on a track and then it would zoom to the next location and then raise up on the track and you'd be there. It'd be seamless. It'd be frictionless. But now, no, it's a really slow tunnel of cars that are specifically Teslas, and you have to be chauffeured through them. It's basically a really slow taxi that's authentically slower than just walking there. And it sucks whole. But what that is it's proof positive that the common person, the common Elon Musk supporter, is dumb enough that they will just say, this is it. He's awesome. He did it. And full self-driving still isn't a thing. The Hypertruck still isn't self-driving and out. The window broke when he threw a metal ball at it. That's really emblematic of everything Elon Musk right there. Is just it breaks when he looks at it wrong, but people still suck his cock about it. His massive semi that was supposed to replace and revolutionize the freight transport industry a decade ago, that's not done yet. Nothing's done yet. He lies all the time. He's a massive grifter, but he still gets people on board. And that's what people are going to be on board with. They're going to be on board with, well, instead of renting a Lime scooter, why don't you rent one of the Teslas from our Tesla parking lot?
Yeah, unfortunately, what I see happens is someone comes and says something that sounds good, whatever it is. They just say, I'm against, whatever it is, economic or social policy, which is fine. It's a bad policy, but they're bad on everything else, or they don't do anything. They're like, oh, I'm against, property tax. It's terrible. But I'm for, restrictive drug laws. I'm for higher taxes. I'm for restrictions on businesses, but I'm just good on this one thing. And people...
I gave you crane-free satellite internet infrastructure and surveillance. Yeah. I'm putting this shit up everywhere.
Yeah, which is ridiculous to me. So I guess I'm curious to hear so Linda's Yaccaro's the CEO, if I'm saying that right.
Yaccarino.
Linda Yaccarino.
Fucking unlike Styx Hexenhammer, who said Yassarino because he's dumb and he can't even do basic research.
I haven't watched Sticks in a very long time, but because it seemed to be all just, hey, Trump's the coolest thing ever. Trump's the coolest thing ever. He never did anything bad. I'm like, at least I like Anomaly personally. I really do like Anomaly. If you're going to talk about like conservative influencers that I think are good, I think Anomaly is at least an honest guy who does.
I haven't watched enough.
All right.
You can send me some stuff after.
He was talking about like how Republicans are pushing for E-Verify and people like, oh my God, E-Verify is great. DeSantis is pushing for E-Verify. I'm like, oh yeah, he's so against the establishment. So.
Mm-hmm. And he went to Israel to sign anti-free speech laws. Did you see that?
Oh yeah. Like, which to me is ridiculous. I'm like, dude, you're the governor of Florida. You don't need stay in America. This is America. Don't go. Why are you doing diplomatic?
Because he's virtue signaling to AIPAC.
Yeah,
he's hoping to get more conservative votes.
And he might. If he does, I would guess if he announces, he might get it. Because unfortunately, I don't know.
He won't. His whole thing is dissolving. Every dishonest little hack movie he's made is peeling up at the seams. Like Trump, if anything they get like Republican in this regard, it'll be Trump. Hands down. No exceptions. Trump is gonna be in. And the reason is because the elites need their boogeyman back. And after 4 years of using him as a public boogeyman, they could put him back and have all the excuse in the world for whatever crackdowns they need to do. And whatever public like, ooh, we don't like him now. And he's so terrible. And anyone who's caught being a Trump supporter is blah, 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 blah. And meanwhile, he knows this. He knows the whole program. And he's just like, fucking, it's obvious to me anyway. Like, he's a fucking reality show host. And people don't realize that they're a part of a cast.
Fair enough. It's
like
Jack.
That's... Hello, Jack. I'm being insane. Do you like Psychosis? Also, hello, Skin.
Honestly, if I could pick anyone out of everything, I'm not voting for Lesser of Two Evils. I'm really but I don't know. I don't know what'll happen because the voting system's still completely messed up.
You know what I'm voting for? I'm voting for Muscle Tech Whey Protein. It has glutamine and precursor in it.
Did you know 9 out of 10 agorists say that we could save the world by electing Bobby Kennedy and getting Jack Dorsey back in Twitter?
I would venture that those aren't really agorists. I mean, first off, they're endorsing voting, and like Konkin was strictly against partyarchy.
And no agorist has said that. That's me.
Well, no, but I've seen plenty of people who claim to be like, ooh, RFK, will ignore everything he's ever said except the things that make me want to suck his bobby cock. Like, we'll ignore the fact that he wants the CIA and that he says most of them are fine. And we'll just say that the fact that he confirms our conspiracy theorists mean I want to lap his little bobby balls and all this, like, I'm such a good anarchist, libertarian, conservative. I love the CIA too. Fuck me, Bobby.
Well, so where do you see Twitter going now? Do you see? I'm guessing you see more crackdowns. Like, hey, I think that just insert a non-globalist opinion. I think that the Ukrainian-Russian conflict's a bad idea, or something like that. Just even something benign. I do see Linda like, nope, can't say that. Nope, can't say that. Nope, can't say that. Nope, can't say that.
They've already been doing it before Linda.
I see more crackdowns is what I'm saying. Like,
were you aware of the massive censorship that happened around the Trans Day of Visibility?
I heard about it. The problem is I'm not using Twitter as much, but I hear about it from my friends. I still have my Twitter account. I'm just saying.
But let me just read a list of words to you, okay? Because I think that it's valuable to know this. and oh, it looks like it's being suppressed now as well, unless I posted this on Insanity is free. I'm doing a search for a tweet right now, and some of my tweets are very clearly being suppressed. So I'm gonna see if this works here. Where would this list be? You know, maybe I could just look it up that way. Let me. It was a list of words that around Trans Day of Visibility were outright banned, meaning you couldn't, like, your tweet couldn't be found if it used that word. And like, I will find this list if I can. If I can't, I'll have to use other means to find it, but I'm pretty sure I can. And this list included a bunch of words that were being actively suppressed from DMs, that were being actively blocked from searches. And yeah, okay. So trans, gay, lesbian, queer, bisexual, sex, homosexual, sexualities, GC, gender identity, or even the word fuck. And it turned out later all curse words were being censored at the time. And like, not only that, but search was abjectly broken because they were doing this. But also, like, while both of those things were happening, they were censoring words like war and gun. They were censoring everything. Elon Musk has been toying with censorship algorithms for a while now. And this was like a month ago, and people have already forgotten about it. But they've been testing these things. Everything that they've been doing has been testing the Great Reset, New World Order kinds of like censorship algorithms that they can employ on fucking anyone. But conservatives ate the cock because they don't like minorities. So it didn't matter that like the people, they might be the next ones to be censored. First, they came for the trans, and I said nothing because I'm not trans. That's literally it. And like, this is well documented. I put out a video on it.
Well, I guess my question is
it's called Elon Musk is a lying censorious hack. If y'all want to check that out, it's on my YouTube.
It's and he honestly, I just say he's a lot of his stuff is a front for DARPA, and DARPA is always playing with these crazy technologies and weird science like you're talking about. To me, they need somebody who can kind of be the spokesperson for that. That's where I see that. Now, but I'm curious to see, where do you see the censorship on Twitter going? I'm guessing just a whole lot worse, just ratcheting it up. Because I have the algorithms in place now to say, oh, okay, we tested it out. And then certain people said, based on this context, based on a divide and conquer context, okay, I'm conservative. I don't like this. I'm liberal, quote unquote liberal. I don't like this. So now Linda comes in and says, oh, everything's in place. Kind of like, to me, they have presidents and they put certain policies in place. Like, oh, isn't George Bush bad? Yeah, let's end the Iraq War. Oh, hey, I'm an anti-war guy. And then there was no protest during Obama's presidency when he was ratcheting up drone strikes. To me, this is kind of the same thing where it's a deep state Passover. Like, oh, hey, cool. Here, you have all the infrastructure for censorship on Twitter now. And now she really is the person who will ratchet down and go after it. And we got everybody excited because Elon said he was against the WEF, but really, it was just.
He was a YGL too. That's fucking one of the things that he doesn't like to talk about, is that they appointed him a YGL. Just gonna say.
No, you're correct. It's just, to me, what these people do is they give you a little bit like, here, our guy's in. He said these people are bad. Look, it's the equivalent of me coming into like a government, say, isn't Klaus Schwab bad? Isn't he terrible? All right, I'm going to raise taxes, get rid of personal ownership, do this. And they say, Kareem's on our side. Like, if I'm doing that, no, I'm not. So I think everybody just put all their trust into Elon Musk, which I said, this is a bad idea. Wait. People don't want to wait, which is my issue. People have very low time preference, which to me is why we're losing in certain aspects. We're still winning in the long run, but we lose in the short term because we have low time preference. So we're like, this guy said one thing, that's okay. He's based. Bill Maher said one thing that's okay. Oh, isn't he great? Like, I could probably come out and just say, like, okay, I'm against higher taxes, or I'm against, whatever it is, which I am. And then people just like, whoa, he's amazing. He's the new Messiah. Like, slow down. Wait for people to do things. Look at policy. Look at what people actually do. Stop being cheerleaders, and then we'll actually win. Because then we can take some time and actually look at what's going on, rather than just saying, oh, this is, my superhero right here coming to save me. They said two things on an, MSNBC thing that were contradictory to the narrative. I mean, no one's going to completely agree with the narrative anyway. Even elites differ on the narrative, I would think. Like, Dan Crenshaw is always like, Democrats this, Democrats this. Maybe he's against one or two terrible Democratic policies, but that doesn't matter because he's still a warmonger. And then you'll get probably somebody on, the walking corpse, Dianne Feinstein, who's a representative of basically like the orcs in Sauron's army, who might say, like, she had one quote, like, if you agree with George Bush's war and you went over there and you got the consequences, you got it. Okay, fine. Not super, mad she said that, but she's a gun grabber, everything like that. So she said one slightly anti-war thing. Doesn't matter. Like,
well, also, like, first off, I just want to say that it's always funny to me that, like, Dan Crenshaw's, like, insertable eye patch thing could be a butt plug too. But let me just I had to say it. I had to. It's right there. Like, you can just sort of, and it'd be fine. Somebody clench on that.
I remember people were in love with this.
Not Dan Crenshaw.
I love Dan Crenshaw. But Crowder had him on, and he had all these ridiculous commercials jumping out of planes. He's like, I need you to help me in mission. We're going to save America, all this stuff. And then really, I'm like, something doesn't seem right about this guy. Like, you don't know Kareem. He's a hero. I'm like, every time I listen to him, he sounds like a neocon guy. So, like, you don't know that. I'm like, yeah, I kind of have a real strong feeling that he is. But, like, can you wait and see on this Dan Crenshaw guy? Don't want to wait. Oh, he's a hero, Kareem. You don't know what you're talking about. All right. Hey, look, he's with the World Economic Forum. Oh, that can't be Kareem. He's a war hero. Okay. Well, let's keep looking at it. Okay. Yes, he is with the World Economic Forum. He does support authoritarian policies. He does support warmongering policies. It's just nobody took the time because they saw a clip on Crowder, or they saw a clip with him talking to somebody and it sounded good. So they just said, oh, he's great. I don't know. I think that's the issue.
Here's the thing. Here's the real jive. And this is what I was going to say earlier, is that people are all low time preference, like, especially these fucking conservatives. These conservatives who, low versus high time preference. We need, well, I should say,
not everybody's
high time preference. High time preference is what I was meaning, because, like, conservatives are extremely high time preference, in that they will jump on whatever trend they feel is supporting their conclusions. And they will not take the long-term investment to look into who's saying it. Why are they saying it? Why, like, how could, like, my side potentially serve their agenda? How could I potentially be helping them? They just say, I don't look into any of that. I'm going to say this anyway. It's sort of like, these people, these little bitches I've been arguing with on Facebook for, like, weeks and months and years about trans things. Like,
but I'm not gonna. But to be fair, I don't want to. To be fair, I'm gonna blame everybody for this, including myself, because yes, I will say people do want things, especially in this generation, very fast. People are looking at TikTok now, and they need the. I know people that if they can't get the information in like 40 seconds, they're gone. It doesn't matter.
They don't.
It could be
headlines.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. I'm legitimately giving people money away, and they're just like, oh, hey, it's cool, it's great, it's whatever it is. So A lot of people just look at the headlines or the real quick thing, and I'm guilty of it too. But liberals do the same thing. Everybody tells me they love
Conservatives are a type of liberal.
I mean,
just saying. AOC is a conservative too. She's not a leftist. She votes almost exclusively party line in terms of the bipartisan blah blah. She's not like a radical or anything.
If we want to do this, then I say like Democrats and Republicans they both get them by like, oh look, AOC's the hardworking girl from Manhattan, wherever she is in New York, and then they get people to jump onto that train as well. Mm-hmm. They don't really do research, and then look, she's a warmonger as well. To me, she might as well be the female version of Dan Crenshaw in a lot of ways, mm-hmm. but she sounds different. She plays a different character. So I'm not actually blaming a particular group. I have friends who are conservatives. I have friends who are leftists. I have friends who are libertarians, anarchists, ANCAPs, whatever, ANCOMs, whatever you want to call them, syndicalists.
The reason I brought up specifically the trans thing is because it's relevant to the Elon Musk situation. Like, he liked to pretend. And this really is just what he was doing. He was just pretending like that there wasn't more bigotry. There wasn't more hate speech on the platform since he got like the reins, right? There was so fucking much more. And when like his fucking shit was there, basically he would censor people, right? He would still do that. But what he would leave uncensored would be accounts like Valid L's. While they literally like dox people, spread notes, they faked screenshots and sent them to somebody's family, and that person's family disowned them because they believed them. Of this trans person like trying to groom a kid, but those screenshots were fucking fake. Those weren't real, and the Valid L's people like. All we're talking about the faked screenshots in the Telegram channel. You know what account is still up? That one. So many examples of accounts like that. Like Troony Troons. Like so many of these accounts where they're just like obviously, bigoted, obviously violating the hate speech policies, obviously against TOS. And they've been here for the whole fucking time. And that's like a double-edged sword, right? First off, they allow bigotry while they claim that that there hasn't been an upswing. Elon Musk like had that 60 Minutes guy or whoever, I forget exactly what it was, maybe the BBC, and that guy like said in his I believe British accent, oh, there's been more hate on the For You page, and Elon Musk's like, you just lied because you can't think of a specific example. Well, I can. If I was the interviewer, I would have been able to drill him the fuck down because this stuff is in the For You page. This stuff is right there on the surface. This stuff is something that he's been planning. This stuff is part of the elite's agenda, and it has been the whole fucking time. And the other end of that sword is that while all this bigotry has been happening and actively harming people and breaking TOS, and while he has actively gutted the child sex abuse section, which is really fucking funny since the bigots are calling trans people groomers, while their hero, Daddy Musk, literally cuts in half the team responsible for stopping that sort of thing and makes their workload insane and increases the incidence of CSA on the platform. While that is going on, they also build up a list of people who have certain right-wing ideas and right-wing things that might go against the agenda. And then they have this list to act on, this list and the list of radicals who were against them, saying things like arm trans people, and they get to sweep up all of the radicals at once in a Rex 84 kind of situation. You know what Rex 84 is?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
And it's a divide and conquer strategy, and it helps to get it. I said, hey, they're gathering data on you. They're like, no, Kareem. I'm like, yes, they are. Be careful what you're doing. Like, this isn't an alien conspiracy that someone want to, get data so they can aggregate it and use it to put one part of the population against the other based on some kind of ideology so they can keep dividing us further. One thing I do want to highlight, though, is this is why Dr. Leeson bringing up the Folk theorem, which, yes, other people have done it before him, but this is why him highlighting it in his lecture is important, because if you look at continued reputation, if you see that there's gaps there, and you allow reputation and signaling to take hold for a reasonable period of time, then you can actually solve a lot of these problems. I really believe you can solve it just with you could solve 99% of problems with reputation, signaling, and customary law. I mean,
Well,
that's
here's the thing. That would involve the common person being interested enough in the truth, and they flatly aren't. Like JC down here in chat says, conservatives love to pat themselves on the back for being red-pilled conspiracy theorists, but they are just as susceptible to propaganda and limited hangouts. And that last two words, yo, hey, great reminder of Liberty Hangout, who said literally that our goal is to infiltrate libertarianism and make it right-wing. And then suddenly, Liberty Hangout starts saying all these mainstream boilerplate conservative points, starts endorsing fascists and fascism, still has people associated with it like Jared Howe and fucking, Justin Moldau, while Jared Howe works with crying Nazi Christopher Cantwell and runs a Nazi and runs a Nazi adjacent podcast, and while Justin Moldau switches to hard tradcath with Caitlin Bennett, turning the entire site into nothing more than a MAGA conservative circle jerk, while the Liberty Hangout account posts nothing but all hail Trump, we love Trump, I'm going to suck his Trump stump, and does all of this stuff, right? But then immediately just basically stops posting about anything but Catholicism. And now they've got a new site called Catholic Hangout, and it's doing the same garbage. But instead of this boisterous, oh, I've got a gun and I'm going to my graduation, like Caitlin Bennett started as, instead of this, I'm going to intrusively hold a mic in your face while screaming at you about bathrooms, because I'm perfectly well-adjusted. That's what well-adjusted people do. Instead of all that, now he's just talking very calmly and calculatedly and corporate into a camera about Catholicism and the love and warmth of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Because suddenly I care about the Bible and Jesus and all of this stuff. And it's not a grift at all, which is why I haven't taken down any of the posts where I'm actively being anti-biblical in order to make sure that I'm following Matthew 7:4 and taking the plank out of my own eye so I can see clearly to remove the mote in my brother's. I'm going to continue all of the same stuff that I've always been doing, and I'm going to continue that because this is just an addition to the grift. This is the latest grift DLC. And this is the same kind of shit all the fucking time with these people. Like, they're not authentic Christians. They'll throw stones at whoever, no matter how without sin they are. They'll, fucking live by the sword. They'll walk in darkness and light. They'll support Moloch, Mammon, all this shit. They're not Catholics. They're not Christians. They don't fucking care. And it's like that with so many of these people, where they'll co-opt something. Like Andrew Torba from Gab talking about how, we've got to have parallel economies for Catholicism, but he's still behaving in an anti-biblical way. He's not changing. He's not improving, but he wants you to, and he uses the platform that he gained from his email list of all the people who use their email to sign up for his service to send emails blasting his particular, toxic, bullshit, racist, fascist viewpoints, and then suddenly everybody becomes more toxic, racist, and fascist. I wonder why. Then Kanye West buys Parler and has access to a similar email list, and it also does similar things to that. And all these people do that, and it isolates all this power, and all this power is usable by the state, and then suddenly they say, I'm a red pill conspiracy theorist because I don't like trans people. No, you fucking aren't. You're playing into their agenda, you bitch.
Here's one thing I'll say, though. Kanye West, I don't know what his... I think he's just kind of like a random... He's like a crazy NPC character. It's like that, monkey you stop, and it just...
He knows exactly what he's doing.
I honestly think the dude just unhinged. I don't honestly think he knows what he's doing. I don't think he knows where he's at sometimes. Let
me just say, as a fellow bipolar person, I know where he's coming from.
Okay.
I know exactly where his
I'm not a
brain is at because we're in
psychologist.
a very similar headspace. I'm
Okay.
basically a white Kanye, but I'm not racist.
I mean, if you were saying the stuff Kanye was saying, I'd be like, all right.
I'm totally okay with talking deep conspiracies if Kanye
Me
was
too.
okay with actually being serious about it and
But
not
he's
just
not.
like
He's
jumping to the
not.
first conspiracy that comes to mind, like the racist shit.
Yeah,
We
he
could
doesn't.
probably have a really interesting conversation.
Yeah, if Kanye actually talked conspiracies, but I don't like when conspiracies just come to, oh, there's a problem with banking and this and this and that. Oh, yeah, I agree. But it's this one group of people. I'm like, stop. No, it's not. And then people just keep going on and on and on. Like it's this group, Cream. I know it's just this one group. I'm like, has it come to your thought process that maybe people from different groups and backgrounds could be nefarious and they all have money, resources, and power, and ties to different occults and secret societies, and they're all working together? Like, no.
Ask an anti-Semite who the richest royal family on the planet is, and they'll tell you Rothschilds, Rockefellers, blah, blah, blah. It's Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, it's the kingdom of Saud has the most money, which
yeah, and
people
like
will
the
not say that.
family Al Saud is like in all these pies, like BlackRock, Blackstone. Ooh,
Oh yeah.
Sovereign wealth fund, motherfuckers. Look into that shit.
Here's the thing I don't think people would realize. I'd be like, yeah, Al Saud's powerful. Rothschild's powerful. The royal family's powerful. What if they're working together? No, that can't ever be, because one is presumably Christian, one's presumably Jewish, and one presumably Muslim. So how could those guys ever get together for world domination?
Not like all of those are like theocratic right-wing things and they really like the same ideas on a base level.
Yeah.
No, you couldn't have that.
Yeah, they're not even theocratic, in my opinion. They have the religion there as a front. They're just like, here. It's just like the I vote.
Yeah, but that's what theocracy's always been.
Yeah,
like
they just say, hey, I'm Jewish. Hey, I'm Christian. I'm Muslim. Woo, yeah, isn't it great? Quran. Hey, how can? And then they use that to enslave you. Same thing with everything else. Just like it's a
and like that, but that's the thing though. It's like it's always been a front. You can't have a theocracy that's serious about its religion, because the religion, for instance, Christianity, says you shall not live by the sword. You can't serve two masters. You're not supposed to become wealthy because you like stack your treasures in like on earth because your treasure is in heaven. You're not supposed to serve two masters. You're not supposed to live by the sword. You're not supposed to cast the first stone. Then there's the Vatican City, which has like gold everywhere, and they're stacking treasures, and they're fucking whoever they want, including 12-year-olds for like years. And then like suddenly you bring that up and you're a target.
Exactly.
Or the fact that in the Quran, you're not supposed to become like wealthy. You're supposed to live humbly. What do all these like head Muslim officials do? Wow, it's almost crazy. Like, and it's like this with every single religion, every single theocracy. And we wonder why the Dalai Lama told the kid to suck his tongue. It might be because religious leadership is generally a joke, and people should really just use it as a personal practice.
You cannot, in my opinion, sit there and say, oh, okay, you should reject, government and worldly things, and then say we're going to have a theocracy and enforce that. There's no way. You can't follow the NAP and say, hey, I'm going to believe in taxation, because inevitably someone's going to, get violent. Someone's rights are going to get violated. It's going to happen. And that's my issue with all of this. And particularly that people cannot see, though, that these groups are all working together. The family of Saud is working with the Bushes. The Bushes are working with the Rockefellers. The Rockefellers are working with Rothschilds and the WEF and everything else in the royal family. It's all one interconnected thing. There's not one particular
trilateral commission, CFR.
Trilateral CFR. Yeah, I mean, we could keep naming them all the way down to, probably somebody's, Masonic lodge. They're all working together, and I'm not saying Masons there's some very good Masons. There's, and then there's some really, I think, bad people at the top of
they all serve the 33rd degree, whether they like it or not.
I like some Masons, to be honest. I'll disagree there, but and then it filters down to your local church, police department, things like that. My argument is, if you can beat it at the local level, you can have a fighting chance. That's why I'm not pessimistic, because you can actually win this And the way you win is you win at the local level, you win at the grassroots level, which to me is also the Agorist thing. Whether you're voting or not, fine.
Grassroots can't be voting.
To me, it can. I was just doing it yesterday. Like, you can run for school board, you can do city council, you can do county commissioner, you can do a lot of these different things. In my opinion, that's going to help you take power back because guess what? The elites can only control so much. They are presumably still human, even though I think there's definitely some weird entities involved. They're presumably.
Well, I'm a hedgehog, so I'm better than them.
Yeah, you're fighting them. But yeah, you can win. We can win by winning at the local level, which I think we can do. I think
Here's
we can
the
win
thing.
at the local and state level. But yeah, there's interconnected groups of everything. People need to realize that. And I think the issue is conservatives point at Democrats, Democrats point conservatives are all bad, and then you get divide and conquer. Muslim point at Christian, Christian point at Muslim, trans people point at Christians, Christian trans people, Muslims trans people. And to me, I'm just like, you guys are all part of an agenda where it's a divide and conquer strategy. You're falling for it. You're looking at one group, and then the groups that are really running things are, one of the wayside. And Patrick Bet David actually made a really good point, whether you like him or not. I haven't really looked into him, I will admit. But I like one point he made. He said the people who really run things aren't also being real loud with opinions. You haven't seen an Al Sood podcast. You haven't seen an Al Sood get on Rogan and be like, yeah, we run the world. We have the most money. Yeah, it's pretty cool. We're working with, I got Rothschild in my phone here. Check him out. Hey, let's dial them up. And you don't see Rothschilds doing that either. Or Rockefellers like, oh, let me get on this pot. I've never seen a Rothschild. Well, maybe I'm lying. I've seen one on Alex Jones one time, but I've never seen really a Rothschild or a Rockefeller, which I'm sure they have money, right? They could start a podcast. They could probably pay for the ads or pretty good. They could get it really ranked well. I've never seen them on the thing. I've never seen any of the people who really run things out there. I've seen their henchmen like Bill Gates, Klaus Schwab, Yuval Harari, who are not at the top, get out there and say things. I've seen their politicians do it, but they will never do it. And that to me is telling. I don't know if that's a worthy observation or not, but you don't see a DuPont podcast. Is that a worthy observation? Do you think so?
Well, the thing is that, like, for the most part, maybe not, but there's certainly people from, for instance, Al Saud on podcasts. And, like, there are also, like, the thing is that what they do, and this is the real reason that I brought up, like, things like SPN earlier, that what they do is they will use think tanks and they will use the public, like, statements of think tanks as vessels for their words. It's not that they're not doing podcasts, it's that they've got surrogates to say the things that they would say. Like, for instance, Jimmy Dore is sometimes okay, but a lot of the time he's fucking not. And I'll explain why I'm saying that. Here's a key example. Yesterday, I said, so this is on Twitter. So Jimmy Dore is going to have on a guy from the NLPC to talk about Bill Gates and Epstein connections and dark money.
Yeah.
Reagan-rooted SPN legal think tank funded by the Koch brothers acting as rightoid dark money. I mean, okay, y'all do you. Koch money is the purest. He did this video with fucking, NLPC, National Legal and Policy Center, which is part of the SPN. And it was called Arrested for Accusing Bill Gates of Epstein Connections. Peter Flaherty reacts. And it's like, Peter Flaherty is a mouthpiece for conservative dark money. What the fuck? You're going to have him on to talk about dark money? He's just mad that it's not his dark money.
With Jimmy Dore, I actually, other than his economics, I like a lot of what he says. I'm not necessarily like a viewer of Jimmy, like, oh, you got a lot, but I
like to know what people are saying.
I do like Jimmy Dore. I do. I will say I like Jimmy Dore. I used to like Bo of the Fifth Column kind of a little bit until you let me know some insider baseball there. So that was definitely eye-opening. But with all this stuff
Hello,
going
Myler.
on,
Go ahead. All this stuff. What?
with all this stuff going on, it's difficult because, yes, Alsu doesn't necessarily. Yeah, maybe there have been maybe you got MBS on one or two podcasts, but they get their people in think tanks, and then it's really easy if you just have surrogates to say, oh, okay, I'm gonna get this person to say this, and then this person's gone. Okay, Bill Gates is Rockefeller's dead, and I don't know how true this. People basically said like Bill Gates is just a replacement for David Rockefeller, which to me he is almost every way, except he's a little bit more geeky and weird. But you just get another person like, oh, this person's gone, this person's out of office, this person died. Not a problem. We'll just pick somebody else from our Skull and Bones or CFR or WEF organization and make them the surrogate for our think tank solutions. And that's where all this stuff happens. As far as people having ties to organizations maybe I don't like. See, like Mises caucus is great. Mad Liberty is great. But then even people have asked me, like, something happened in this community. What do you think of this? And I'm like, I don't agree with this particular thing, but someone from your organization said this. I'm like, look, listen, I'm not a hive. We're not a hive mind. I'm not, we're not, it's not Los Plagas or the flood from Halo. I don't think exactly like everybody else. So fine. Maybe Jimmy Dore's guest has less than ideal connections, but I'd still be interested.
Many such cases.
I'd still be interested in the information.
Yeah, and I was interested in what he had to say, but I also have looked into like pretty much all these people. Like, Jackson Hinkle, he's a pro-war person. He just wants Russia to win. Scott Ritter, he's a pro-war person who just wants Russia to win, and he tried to fuck kids twice.
Okay, I'll say this. Once I figured out that, like, sometimes you can, whether it's my bad or not, I can't do research on every person, every fast. And I know people want me to. They're like, Cream, don't you know Kokesh did this? Don't you know Jeff Berwick does this? I'm like, not necessarily, because I look at big issues and I look at certain things. I don't particularly look into people's personal life. So when something comes out, usually someone's telling me, like, even the stuff that happened with Tim Pool. I'm like, I don't dislike Tim Pool, but
I do.
I'll listen to what not Scott Ritter, the skateboarding guy has to say. I can't remember who it is, but yeah, once I figured out Scott Ritter and who he was and what was going on, I just said, drop out. Me and a bunch of Mises people flooded the thing, and I said, we got to get this guy out of here. I didn't initiate it, but Leighton, my co-host who you're on his show, was telling me, Kareem, you're going to Rage Against the War Machine. I'm like, yeah, it should be a good time. He's like, there's a Scott Ritter guy talking, and I'm like, oh, okay. What did he do? He's like, he wants Russia to win. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. But fine, whatever. I'll just ignore him. He's like, there's more stuff you need to see. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, we need to get him to drop out. And then we just kept flooding drop out on Discord. And then we got banned from everything. But he did drop out. So for what it's worth, we got that problem solved. And there were some people there with Russian flags, which I said, explain to me what you're thinking here. And they said, well, if Putin wins, the war ends. I'm like, not necessarily. You don't know what he wants to do. And even if you're saying he's going to give freedom to people, I'd use if you're familiar with the 90s, I love SLC Punk. He said, even something like freedom, if you enforce it on someone, is still a rule. And I don't know how people don't get that. If I'm like, Jeremy, I'm going to kick down your door and like force you to be free. You have to be free. I'll follow you around with a gun to make sure you're free. And you're like, that's not freedom. Like, the old American,
it's free with a trademark symbol.
Yeah. It's free with a trademark. You're free to do what we want, but it's not real freedom. If I have to enforce freedom with a gun, it's probably not freedom ever. Like at all. Like it's literally saying like, hey, I'm going to enforce sobriety by making you drink. It doesn't make any sense. So I even asked them that. And a lot of them kind of had really weird responses. And one thing I saw there is I was with Luke Enzer, and there's a tent right here, and there's a Russian flag guy right here, and her and Angela McArdle and Luke. I was talking to them, and I had a crass sign, which I still actually have over there, that said, "The nature of your oppression is the aesthetic of our anger." If you're familiar with them, British punk band in the 70s and 80s. I had a cardboard sign that said that. I just kept putting that up next to the Russian flags, and I'm like, dude, like, stop, like. I don't want to see like any flags here. What was even ironic is too, the Russian people, the people with Russian flags, I couldn't tell, are they serious? Are they feds? What's their agenda? Because they kind of just like, I hope Putin wins. What do you think about that? And I'm like, I just hope it stops. And then we went to march, and we marched to the White House, and I'm marching next to a dude who has his face covered and a hammer and sickle right next to him. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, and I literally said to the Mises people, like, they would be in that White House if they could with this garbage Marxist ideology, but they just can't get there because Marxism is also just another piece of crap. That and funny enough, you want to talk about think tanks. From what I've heard, a Rothschild funding think tank is where Marx came up with his ideas. I forget the name, but that's where Marx came up with.
So here's the thing. These organizations, a lot of the time, they realized that they could get numbers and they could get personal support for their goals. A lot of these people are as black-pilled as I am, but less honest. And instead of saying that it's not going to be successful by most mainstream means, and certainly not by the legal ones, instead of saying that, so I'm not going to participate, I'm not going to be involved, I'm not going to support this system, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to support black and gray markets. I'm going to walk away. I'm going to support actual authentic counterculture and counter economies and anti-economies and all this other shit. They say, I want numbers for my own personal enrichment, and I will use politics to get those numbers. It's not about, in a lot of these people's cases, actually doing something good, actually doing something that works, actually doing something that solves these problems, maybe in this case opposes and ends a war. It's about, hey, the People's Party has a lot of fucking Twitter followers. I wonder if I could get me some of those by being associated with them. Meanwhile, the People's Party is routinely associated even now with Scott Ritter, and they don't care that he twice tried to fuck kids. Fucking multiple members of Mises caucus still working with the guy on this woman's campaign for office, going to this second anti-war rally, which again is not anti-war, because the people there aren't anti-war, and one of them was Scott Ritter. And I have issues with this. I have issues with this mentality, because what I see it as is using politics as the enablement of a grift. They don't give a shit. They never are incentivized to give a shit. What they're incentivized to do is to seem enough like they give a shit that when they have numbers in public, they can say, see, look, what we're doing is working. There were so much bigger rallies in the 70s, and now we're here. Your numbers don't mean shit. Your rallies don't mean shit. What will mean shit is people actually doing something. It's sort of like when I talked to some transphobic bigots in my comments recently, and these transphobic bigots were like, "Oh, well, are you gonna take your kids to a pride parade when you have them?" And I'm like, "Yeah, nah." I've been critical of parades like that before.
Yeah,
I don't think they actually help. I would rather take my kid to the range with a drag queen so that they can see that these people will enforce their rights no matter what people want them to do, no matter what people say. I would much rather show my kid practical personal empowerment than tell my kid that they need numbers and big political support and fucking hashtag visibility. No, maybe we shouldn't be visible. Maybe we shouldn't be wearing bright colors. Maybe we should be wearing camo, if you know what I mean. Maybe it's long past time for talking, and the free speech people are just hoping to keep the conversation going a little bit longer while they muster their forces for eradication. Maybe the fascists are in power and we should fuck that up.
All right. Well, to me, how you do that is coalitioning with people who are like-minded. And one thing I'll disagree is, though, I did see, or I did feel some good energy. I think that was one thing that someone made a point is, okay, the 1970s were a different time of Vietnam. If we look to the current kind of landscape, the last time there was any anti-war activity was against George Bush's war in Iraq. You could correct me if I'm wrong here, but that's the last time. And that was mainly on the left, which I was actually a big fan of, like Michael Moore and people on the left doing that. And I thought, hey, this is some good anti-war activism. Then there wasn't really anything during the Obama years. I didn't see anything really during the Trump years of significance. I'm not saying there wasn't anything. What I am saying is this is the first left-right people, all different things on the spectrum, probably everything on the spectrum you could think of came together.
Yeah, including Kim Epstein.
I'm not, and characters that were not good actors. I'll say that. There's not going to be, if you get a large group of people, chances are there's going to be some bad actors, just like probability wise. Like if I get 100,000 people, even the most virtuous people, gathering them up, there's going to be some bad actors. There's going to be some people with a bad past. Even if I go look at saints, like, okay, Kareem, get a list of saints. Oh, St. Augustine had a mistress. Like, okay, fine. I get it. The odds are going to come out. Oh, St. Thomas Aquinas, I don't know what he did. He thought Carrot Top was a legitimate comedian. Like, bad stuff can happen. But at least we did get something that showed a response. It brought out the police, the Secret Service, and everything like that. I don't mind. I disagree with Agorist, and I don't mind protests. I don't mind running for local office or state office if you got the money and you want to drop 50 or 100 grand and you think you can win. I don't mind that. Federal, I don't see that being really worthwhile to the libertarians, but I'm not necessarily against, and that's why I'm with Mises. If I used to be pure agorist like Larkin Rose and you and Justin and all them people, but
nope. But Larkin and me, maybe.
Okay, you and Larkin, and there's I have friends who are agorists, including you, and I still think protesting and running for local politics is good. I'm not against somebody saying I'm going to take some of my time and get on city council or school board. There's nothing. I don't see anything particularly wrong with that.
Here's the thing. Let me ask you. You say this was the first left-right thing. First off, I want to acknowledge multiple comments here. Hello, Liberamore. I hate the ATF as well. Fuck Janet Reno, and also the FBI and everybody involved in burning kids alive, both in Waco, Ruby Ridge, and Philadelphia Move. But just to be clear, like JC, visibility campaigns are ingenious because, and here's a great thing: you want a good leftist. You want an actual, like, somebody who critically looks at everything, including what Marx posted. Peter Coffin, but he's like hated even in leftist circles. Watch his thing. Representation matters, right? And he will go into grave detail about how representation campaigns and visibility are just designed to get people to feel cool and accepted in their slot in society. That's all they are. Like, and that's the same thing with a lot of these anti-war things, which is why this rally went off pretty much without a hitch, and nothing happened there of any real significance. Kant says, "You're talking about Rage Against War Machine rally?" Yes, and that subsequent rally,
yes.
Both of us know about.
Yes,
The rally with the speaker choice outright saying they weren't anti-war and called Ukraine a mad dog that needs to be put down. Yes, that one. And also, the thing is, you said that this was the first real left and right thing. No.
I'm not saying it was the
se-
first real left and
you
right
should have
thing, but
you should have seen Boogaloo and BLM. That was so much better, and they were targeted so much more for it.
I get it because there are more things. But I'm saying
because they had more practical methods.
Okay, fine. There was some BLM and Trump people who got together against, medical
Boogaloo, not Trump.
Boogaloo. There was some there was the there was the Boogaloo thing as well. That did go over well. I'm just saying, in terms of people with extremely far polarities, like me and Jimmy Dore are not the same economically. And then there was people there who were ANCAPs. There was people there who were libertarians. There was people there who were former veterans. There was people there who were Marxists. There's people there who were probably Bakunin-ish people. There were people there who, like, you throw a quarter on that diagram, like you say, you know what's funny? Upon reflection, I probably am the whole bottom strip. After reading Malatesta and Emma Goldman, I probably am the whole bottom strip. But you throw any quarter anywhere on that graph, there was someone there who was opposed to the war. So that's a good thing, at least.
Well, hey, for $25 a pop, I will make anyone out there a coalition-style profile picture, including this channel. In the upper right-hand corner there's currently an ANCAP flag. I could make you a Kareem like face with like all the colors in the background. I think that would look better.
If I'm the whole bottom strip, should I call myself an ANCAP still?
I just call myself anarchist, and if somebody doesn't like it, they can go fuck themselves, ideally off a cliff.
How about the speakers outright supporting Putin with another speaker selling merchandise? Yeah, that was there. I was trying to block them with a sign from a crass sign, and yeah, I don't like that. I don't understand why they would, like, it's literally like saying like, oh yeah, I'm against the Iraq War. I just want George Bush to win.
I understand. I already said it. It's a grift.
And it's a grift. I mean, I get it's a grift, but yeah, but if you're gonna go to an anti-war thing, like actually be, I'm not having big qualifications, as Dave Smith said. I just want the person running for libertarianism to be a libertarian. If you're going to go to an anti-war rally, I just want you to be anti-war. So
you need to then support the BLM and Boogaloo. You need to support Antifa. You need to support all these groups that a lot of these people will call you a commie for supporting.
I do.
It works.
I do. Well, okay. I've really big problems with Antifa. I'm not cool with you waving around that black and red flag unless you sit down and go and at least, I'm not saying you become a Bakunin expert, because I'm not, but pop it open. Check out some Goldman. Do something. I don't
read
feel
theory.
Read some theory. Don't just like smash Starbucks and be like, yeah, comrade. And I'm like, dude.
But most of those people who are smashing Starbucks weren't authentic Antifa. They just wanted to go break stuff, and they figured that out. Like, ultimately, the authentic Antifa people, let me just put it to you this way. And I covered this in my videos on actual grooming. I found more people aligned with Antifa. Literally, one of them on Twitter, follow this person. They're Antifa operative. They post about groomer, cops, priests, and other right-wing figures, figures that serve the state capitalist machine. They post about straight, non-trans fucking groomers. And you know who doesn't post about them? Gays against groomers, libs of TikTok, all these fucking grifting right-wingers who want to make it about them, when, like, you can look on Daily Kos and find a long-running list of Republican sex offenders, many of whom are pedophiles. They don't want to talk about those people.
Yes.
They don't want to talk about the 10 cops a month who get busted for it. They don't want to talk about those people.
Yeah,
who does? Antifa does. Antifa talks about them. Those people don't.
I have no problem. Okay. I have, and here's my thing. Every group in existence is, I do feel people are highly polarized, even in the end, that like, oh, this is my team. Since it's my team, I got to play ball for my team. I don't necessarily like that. Sometimes it happens because we're human, but it's really bad because the right will be like, oh, my side did this, but it's fine. Oh, my side did this, but it's fine. It was the same issue I have when people like, oh, Kareem, I'm like, okay, he's a Republican. What's he going to say? Bill Clinton hung out with Epstein. Yeah, so did Trump. Oh, but he didn't like him. And then you get the same thing. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, Bill would just hang out with him. No, he didn't. Oh, but, Trump did. I'm like, yeah, how about they're both bad? Can we come to that conclusion that everybody that you like's an authoritarian? So, yes, I agree with you in the sense that Antifa does do a lot of good work. And I'll even say this. Tim Pool surprised me. He said one thing that I really liked. Maybe you'll really like it. A lot of conservatives will be just like, ooh, Antifa is a bunch of soy boys. He's like, no, don't call them that. Find another name, because they're willing to go take down a police station or a government building for their beliefs. You're not willing to do that. You're scared that if you say the wrong thing, your employer will come down on you. Or somebody somebody will say something you don't like. You're afraid of that. Antifa's willing to one thing
skin
I do.
In the game.
Yeah, not only skin in the game, they're willing to put the whole turkey in the oven and say, hey, if I'm going to go fight these government, whatever it is, police,
yeah.
and if I'm dead, because that ostensibly can get you killed very quickly.
Yeah, the guy who started shooting at and eventually resulted in the Minneapolis Police Department being lit on fire. We were mutuals on Twitter, and he was saying he was going to go do something, and we didn't know what he was going to do. I didn't even know who he was until the headlines came out. He was a Boog Antifa. Those people are willing. You're not. All these people. Oh yeah, rah rah. We got our guns.
These conservative
Punisher skulls.
Yeah, and you do get some people who are conservative, just like, I'm going to stand up to the establishment. Okay, what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to make, say a couple.
I triggered a leftist today. Give me my gold star, Daddy Musk. I'll suck your cock.
Or they just, or they'll put out good content, but they won't do anything. At least there are some leftists who are willing to, it does. A lot of people can say stuff about their beliefs, but unless you're willing to dedicate part of your life, or in some cases, some people are willing to die for it, it's not the same thing. We're not playing the same game.
Let me just address that comment, JC. If you send me $50, I will make you a custom Kareem Funko Pop style art. Yes.
Oh God.
I'm in the graphics biz, guys. I do graphics, I do voice acting, I do all sorts of shit.
You want to go on Fiverr with me? I'm a seller.
I mean, I don't know what you mean by with you, but maybe we could talk about some of that. I recently did some voice work too. I got paid reasonably well so that I could do some vocal lines in this guy's song, and also do some vocal lines for his an upcoming music video. I'll leave both of those at that in order to avoid blowing what I know. But basically, I'm willing to do anything, and that's the thing. I need to impress upon people this. I want people who are willing to act. I want people who are willing to be consistent, be ethical, be logical. That's the real grassroots. You won't find that in people running for office. They're compromised by default.
If I give you a bunch of money, can you help me write a book to debunk Dugan's fourth political theory and write a fifth one on anarcho-coalitionism based on Leeson's precepts of social cooperation?
I mean, if you want to just go in on a book together and then you get primary profits, I would be fine with doing something like that in the form of some contributory writings for sure. We could talk about that.
Yeah, actually, I was going to hit you up about that because that's one thing I've been thinking.
But I also haven't read whatever this Dugan is you were talking about. So
yeah, he's basically the problem I have with all political theories. It's communist, fascist, and then Dugan's thing is it's still collectivist. Everything is highly collectivist, authoritarian collectivist. There's nothing that turns into decentralization in any theory that's, to me, practical in the sense of how do you implement it. Leeson's good, at least that he looked at past examples in the world, so that I have to give him props as being the best economist alive and probably the best thinker alive. But you just need to put Leeson's ideas into practice, and literally will beat the globalists.
Well, the only Dugan I know is John Mark Dugan, and
Okay.
I support what he did. You know about him?
I do not.
He's an ex-cop whistleblower who was run out of the country, like, for fear of his own safety and life by, like, people he exposed, and he now has to live in Russia. But yeah, like, I mean, we could work something out in that regard. I'd have to read more of both of the source material in order to efficiently debunk it. I would be, if you wanted to commission me to write a specific book on this subject, I could just do that, and I could write this book. It would be probably done in November.
Nice.
If, like, because I could just knuckle down on a subject like this. It'd be pretty short, but
Yep.
like, I could knuckle down on this particular subject through this particular lens, and get that done. I don't know. We could probably work something out as long as it paid rent.
Yeah. I'll figure out something, because I've been doing crypto videos and I've been doing pretty good. And if we're going to talk about Agorist, I'm getting around a lot of the conventional financial system, so that's good. Got it.
Yeah.
I got USDT. Ha! Take that, CBDC. I won.
Well, if you really want to win against CBDC, I recommend Monero and R. Pirate Chain and Monero, XMR and R, ARRR. It's what both of these are like inherently encrypted, and they like have privacy by default. XMR does like it encrypts your transactions in the middle, so you can't follow them very easily, like from address to like and all that stuff. And then R not only does encryption, but it has ZK snark, zero knowledge snarks by default, which means that neither system knows how the encryption happened. They just know how to decrypt it.
Do you hold this in a cold storage or a MetaMask?
You can if you want. I would recommend, if you're going to do cold storage, though, you do something like, you can do air gapped keep key, and it's probably going to be a lot safer than just a piece of paper.
Well, I like MetaMask too. I don't know how safe you consider MetaMask, but
MetaMask is fine, but it's not physical, so it's still potentially digitally vulnerable. If you're going to do you have a keep key?
I do not.
I am not sponsored by Trezor. I don't get paid for them, but if I'm going to say something about actually like storing cryptocurrency for security purposes, and I'm not just promoting Exodus, which is my multi-asset wallet that I use, I just, Keep Key seems to me to be the best potential choice here.
Okay.
Because Keep Key is like Trezor is like, you're gonna get a lot better, and I believe that's what it's called. It's been a bit since I looked into this. You're gonna get a lot better hardware protection if you just use a hardware wallet. But also, if you like, because MetaMask, it's fine, but I would rather use a wallet connect with my Exodus, because Exodus does more. It's smoother. It syncs between devices. It's so much better than MetaMask in my experience. I could go on for hours just discussing all the things Exodus can do, and they don't even pay me. Hey, Exodus, give me fucking money. I'll promote your product. It's a great wallet. I use it already. Give me money. But yeah, like that's what I recommend. Exodus does so many fucking assets. It's smooth as hell. It's got a very modern interface. It's something that you can recommend to people without them feeling too squicked out about it, because it looks like the other apps on their phone.
Yeah. All right. I'll take a couple more, and then it's been an hour and a half, so we'll call it.
Oh, and y'all in the chat, you're free to find me at Insanity is Free on social networks. You're free to find me at Jeremiah Talks and Hate with Harding on YouTube. And I also have a channel for all this stuff. Like, that I don't want to do on my serious channels is called Jeremiah Does Stupid Shit on Camera. And if you want to see me get angry at a series of captchas that I, drooled and slogged through, you can go to that channel because there's going to be a compilation video of my struggles. But okay, Liberimer wants me to do a sonic voice for talking about Exodus. Hey, I understand that you're out there worried about your freedom, and personally, my finance goes up to rings. I'm all about those. But if we're talking about how to keep your money safe and use a lot of different types of it, not every place accepts rings. Like, it's all about the multiverse. And these days, you've got to have the currency that works anywhere you are. And if you're trying to go from different freedom fighter organizations, they might have different things than rings. Who knows? Everybody is unique and special. So Exodus is your multi-asset wallet solution. It's non-custodial. It has a standard backup phrase, just like the real wallets where you own your coins. You can export your keys. It belongs to you. So if you want something fast that syncs between devices, go with Exodus. There we go. I have made a sonic voice talking about a cryptocurrency wallet.
Nice.
Earth Nerd says, I financed my home on the blockchain with Chili Dog coin. I financed my home on the blockchain with Chili Dog coin. There we go. Yeah, I've got plenty of different channels, plenty of different outlets, and if y'all want to support what I do, then feel free. Because I'd like to actually make rent and make enough of it that I can successfully move up and get more resources. The more money I get, the more I can actually accomplish. So y'all are free to support that if you want.
Hi, Earth Nerd. I'm eventually going to take this channel as well as doing podcasts and try and do what Stefan Molyneux, in my opinion, failed to do, which is actually stay as a consistent anarchist and then also bring more philosophy into it. Because there's things like solar punks, mutualism that actually do work. There's also significant problems that people don't express in anarchy, that some things are lifestyle and some things are economical. So we're going to do that. I'm also going to try a news organization, get a book out. I'm going to try and do a whole bunch of stuff. What's up, Earth Nerd? Finance my home on the blockchain with my chili dog. We got green anarchists.
And yeah, most of the people in chat right now are because I posted in some Discords I'm in. Feel free, y'all, to hit me up for an invite to Discord.
Yeah. I'm going to try and get some cool anarchists on here. I will hit up Leeson. I'll hit up Greg Reese from InfoWars. I really do like his content. Brett Weinstein, maybe. I'm really determined to get him on here.
And you got to get Earth Nerd on here as well.
Yeah, I had her on. I had her on before. I'm going to reach out again. Hi, Earth Nerd. I like green.
The ATF fears Monero. Good. Yeah, I like that. He's got this saying in my server about the ATF. He just consistently talks shit on the ATF. So very much a welcome mentality.
You know who really fears Monero, from what I heard? The IRS. Because I heard they'll give you $600,000 if you can crack it. You go and say, here's how you crack it. I heard that. I don't know if that's 100% true, but people were posting that. I'm like, why would I give up? Why would I get Federal Reserve notes if I had Monero, though?
Also, of course, I'm not going to help the feds crack it. Maybe somebody might have fun with that. It's a fun little project.
It would be so. I don't even know how you'd crack it. I mean, yeah, ostensibly anything's possible. A, I don't know how. B, I don't know why anyone would want to. I don't think you could. I don't think feasibly the government's smart enough to crack Monero. I think someone definitely can, but would it be worth the time?
Well, my thing is everything is temporary. eventually all of this is going to lose utility. So we need to build up as much actual practical utility now as possible, so that if that does happen, we can come out the other side with actual usability.
Yeah. And my YouTube channel is almost up to 100,000 for these different types of coins. So if you want to, you can go check out Crypto Dex World as well.
So
All right.
if any of y'all want to commission those graphics, Insanity is free on Twitter and various other places. You can do that.
And we'll come up with a book idea and some other stuff. And I definitely will get you to make a website and take this channel and maybe a couple other channels to the next level. But with that, that's all I have to add. We'll see what happens with Linda and her evil reign over Twitter. Maybe everybody will run to Bastion and be like, hey, we're going to fight back. And then the evil dudes will be like, oh, no, we've lost.
If anything, the evil people, the people are just going to run to like Gab and Parlor and, Blue Sky and fucking Truth Social and all these other places that are manufactured so that the people with the most extreme beliefs will all be coalesced in the same place and easily trackable by their shared identity. And we're all going to be siloed into severe echo chambers where we're going to be pitted against each other and act like the other is the problem when the real problem is those puppeteering the whole situation, until balkanization drives us into a civil war and we all die at our own hands.
No. Okay. Well, all right. Here, we're going to get into the best country ever to give you some hope. So there's this awesome country in Africa that could be the model for the world. And in a joke, I say that jokingly, but like, even if that does happen, what would happen is probably like after 1991, after they threw Mohammed Syed Bari over, the warlords did fight amongst each other. Then they got tired of it because nobody could gain ground, and there was a power sharing equilibrium. Is that perfect anarchy? We had that complete. We had a fight, I think, an hour in Keybase. Fine. No, it's not. It's more like red market equilibrium. There's the term of what that is. And it's closer to minarchism, but it's more preferable than centralized violence.
Well, but here's the thing. It's just multiple different centralized violence. As far as I'm concerned, what I want personally, I would rather have like various like communes. I would rather have something closer to Cheiron. I would rather have something closer to, like personally, and this is the real shit. I want to see all of these anarchist philosophies compete, but I want to see the anarchist philosophies compete, and we can't get there if we don't start there.
But okay, here, one's interesting thing. You could technically have someone who's, because there's people who like Matt. I talked to a guy. I'm trying to get him on here. There's people like Steiner who are also ANCAPs and ANCOMs, which is interesting to see. There's probably people who believe in both. I mean, is it in a crazy way? I believe in nature. I do believe in using nature to getting back to nature in some ways. But then I also like some of these, I've looked in like, oh, hey, how do you use advanced technology like red light therapy, cryotherapy to enhance things? So I'm not saying I'm a anarcho-transhumanist, but I you can see like how solar punk competes with this. You can see what mutual aid does. We'll see what happens. But if you have red market equilibrium and you have the ability to get the word out through things like Discord and Telegram, that's a feasible thing to do that the Somalis did not have access to. So what I'm saying is, yeah, you could red market equilibrium could be a step in the right direction. Is that, hey, we're all fighting each other and we get sick of it. I know that's not ideal, but maybe but I have a lot of faith in, well, you know who my main thought process is.
JC asks, how similar is Cheiron to a Hopi and Covenant community? It's basically not. That should answer it.
It's the best. It's the best place in Mexico. That was actually, everybody was laughing at Vice. They're like, haha, they went bankrupt. And part of me is like, haha. I'm like, you know what? They did a really good story and they did really good coverage on J-Ron. So
yeah, and then they told
Little
people
sad.
not to take ivermectin because it's horse meds, and then
I get
immediately
that.
told people to take mifepristone.
Yes, which was really bad. I'm just saying, a little piece of me is like, man, it's like I said, they had one good story. They had
multiple good stories closer to their founding.
Yes.
The further you got away from that, the more they sold out and watered down and worked for the military-industrial complex and the imperialists. So, and they literally got funded to make some of their content about the military-industrial complex by the military-industrial complex. And eventually, they just sold out to the point where they were 100% mainstream with a weird edge attached to it. And you got stories about how to crush up horse pills for like inducing abortions. Did you hear about that? You seem like you haven't.
What? That doesn't make sense. I don't even want to go into that.
Okay. No. I'm gonna go into it now. You done did
God.
you done did Truggert me. I've got to say this. I've got to expose the truth. So
Please.
basically, a while back, Vice Motherboard, which is a Vice outlet, says misoprostol, as I said mifepristone, but it's misoprostol is relatively easy to acquire from veterinary sources, since in addition to medically inducing abortions, it's also used to treat ulcers in horses.
Okay.
Anarchist Collective shares instructions to make DIY abortion pills. DIY medicine collectives are preparing for the horrifying prospect that Roe v. Wade will be overturned. And then it said, you may be reminded of ivermectin, which is used to control parasites in horses. It became a favored but ineffective COVID treatment among conspiracy theorists. The main difference here is that misoprostol does something other than giving you the shits. So then I posted, Vice are a pack of lying, dangerous hacks. Misoprostol is given in conjunction with mifepristone. Without both, serious complications can happen. And again, with the horse narrative, both pills are prescribed to humans. Ivermectin is a Nobel Prize-winning drug. Misinformation. If Twitter's missing context and misinformation labels were for anything legitimate, this thread would have them, which means what they're really for is enforcing the mainstream narrative and stifling dissenting voices, a de facto ministry of truth. Twitter didn't include a community notes on that for a fucking year.
Okay. I don't even know what to think of that. That's really...
Crush up horse pills to get an abortion. That's what you think. Do what Vice tells you to.
Oh my God. That doesn't make any sense. Okay.
It doesn't matter if this pill is possibly also going to cause you serious complications because you didn't have the accompanying mifepristone. It doesn't matter if this is off-books medicine because like that would actively damage you.
This is just dumb. This is just dumb. This isn't like just okay.
I fucking hate those people. I want to watch them burn metaphorically.
Okay. All right then.
You just look blown away by how fucking evil that is.
I just there's certain things I don't know what to make of, and I just sit there and I'm like, oh, like I got like there's a certain level of clown world where I'm just like, okay, like it is there, it exists, but like it perplexes me how clown world it is. And some things people do on the left and the right just amaze me to no end. Like people like this horse stuff, and people are obsessed with a Bud Light can spokesperson, and Bud Light's a crappy beer, and like
and it was one can.
Yeah, it was one can, and it's like a boycott. It's like, dude, I'm like, your dollar's collapsing. They're like, yeah, but I'm like, I don't care. I don't drink Bud Light. You couldn't pay me to drink Bud Light at all. Like,
yep.
For one, I make a good bit of money on crypto. That's why I'm like messing around. You couldn't pay me to like. Why do we care? I don't care. I don't care what they put on a Bud Light can at all. At all. They could put Benito Mussolini. I'm like, okay, fine, great. Like, you know.
I just and like it's that, and that's the thing when people like the transphobes I've been going against, like Justin, for instance, when people like this want to say that the trans issue is part of the elite's agenda, Yeah, you're part of the elite's agenda because you're allowing everything to be distracted and derailed by bigotry rather than focusing on the actual evil the elites are actually doing. The vast majority of trans people don't like harm children. The vast majority of children that are harmed by heterosexual people, not trans, that they personally know in their family or something.
Well,
And the vast majority of this issue is on the other side, but they want to point the finger at trans people. They want to point the finger at homosexuals because they get to then seem superior without doing any fucking work at all. And they are playing right into the elite's agenda. And that's why Elon Musk let it happen, because he is an elite. He's a billionaire who got there through government contracts and serving the elites. He helps them with their military and intelligence industrial complexes, and he's helping them build AI and stick wires in your brain and
yeah,
control your transportation and control your finances and control your everything and even control your speech now. And
yeah.
you just lap it up because he lets you say things against trans people. That's
And
your
people,
whipping boy.
people
That's
like
your punching bag. That's your boogeyman. And you don't give a fucking shit about these sorts of things. That's not, finger's not for you, by the way.
people aren't educated on leftists, and a lot of or I would say, like, you know, people who are on the left who are actually anti-establishment, so they just lump them all into one group, just like they do on the right, and then people make crazy assumptions, and they also do that to me too. I can't count on how I can count on how many times, probably about 20 to 50 times now, I've been called a neo-feudalist. Dude, the closest I ever got to a king was killing Leoric with a monk in Diablo. That's the closest
I've
I've
never
got.
played Diablo. It's supposed to be good.
I don't know why ANCOMs call me a neo-feudalist. They can't explain that. They just scream.
Well, maybe that could be another stream where I go over
Yes.
like the neo-feudalist implications of certain ANCAP mentalities. But you know,
Dude.
it's like Earth Nerd says. Can you imagine how pretty we'd all be sitting if communities had to compete for your living there? Wild. That would throw us on the other side of that deficit.
Yeah, it does. All right.
JC, and also grassroots and DIY internet in Detroit coordinated by neighbors for themselves for their own communities. Yes, MeshNet, peer-to-peer, motherfuckers. Torrent everything. Make everything torrents. We'd be so much better off.
Yep.
Liberamer says we could all have 3 holes in our fire selectors and our houses wouldn't get burned down and our dogs wouldn't get shot if there were no ATF. The ATF is the root of all evil. Nice how the trans community has armed up over the past couple months. Now when they come for our hormones, we can say Molon La Bay Kalashnikov style.
Interesting.
That's the trans anarchist community I was talking about, people. They're much better than these conservative cucks. I promise.
What is their name?
Liberamer.
Oh, Liberamer. Oh, okay. Can me and you? Is that the one you're a part of?
What?
Can I join just to be like, hey?
If you want to join my server, you're welcome to.
Oh, okay.
You know, I've been. It's not like I've been trying to like hide it from you. But I've been sort of waiting for you to ask, but I don't want to fucking preach.
I'm not a neo-feudalist. There's no kings in my family.
There are ANCAPs in my server. There are people of all persuasions. It's not like that. I don't bar people.
And there is no ANCAP neo-feudalist pipeline. That doesn't exist. I know tons of ANCAPs. I've never seen one guy say, I'm king. Here's my sword. I knight you.
There are plenty of ANCAPs who have become alleged anarcho-monarchists. There are plenty of ANCAPs who have...
That can't exist.
Okay, but it doesn't mean it
like
doesn't happen.
Straight edge alcoholic.
It doesn't happen. It does happen though. It doesn't not happen. They're afraid it's going to happen with you.
That doesn't. Find me one guy, one dude. I'm not talking about like retards like Cantwell. Find me one dude who's set up and been like, man, Rothbard's good. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make my own kingdom. All right,
Matt Erickson, King Pilled.
Okay, it's probably like a Vermin Supreme type dude.
No, he's more of an Andrew Tate than a Vermin Supreme. He's a piece of shit.
I don't even hate Andrew Tate sometimes.
I do. He's a fucking sexual assaulter, dude. What? He's a sexual assaulter, rapist who fucking hates a sex trafficker who hates fucking video games. He calls people like you weak beta males. Why do you not dislike him?
I haven't heard him say that.
Because you haven't listened to most of what he says, probably.
I mean,
let's have an anti-Andrew Tate panel at some point. I'll be on that.
Okay, I see what he says. From what I've seen on some of his things, it just saying, "Hey, if you're a young guy, get out there and work hard." And
Andrew Tate is a cunt. You saw a few things that his fucking audience sent out on YouTube Shorts or something, and then you walked away.
Yep, correct.
Like he says like a few good things sometimes, and then the rest of it is misogynistic, rapey, racist garbage. And he literally grew his following initially by scamming dudes, by pretending to be a woman, feeding a cam model lines, and then getting that cam model to fleece like 6 different dudes out of their income. He's a fucking scumbag. He's a piece of shit.
Okay, that's some pretty bad stuff.
And these women that he brought in, a lot of them decided that they didn't want to do it anymore or be there, and he kept them there. And then when they decided enough was enough, he threw them out without paying them, and like they had nothing and nobody. He's a sex trafficker.
Okay.
I fucking hate like Andrew and his whole goddamn cadre. That's the reason when Clint at Liberty Lockdown started to say that he was followed by this guy, was like, well, hey, you can promote him if you want, but I kind of wouldn't want to promote a sex trafficker and abuser as a libertarian.
I like Clint at Liberty Lockdown. That I'll say. I know
you blocked me because I brought that up.
I know Clint at Liberty Lockdown, and we get along. We get along pretty well.
JC says, not to defend Tate, but if you lost all your income to some e-girl, catfish or not, that's all on you. Except it's not. And it's not like all their income. It's just that he preyed on vulnerable dudes. And then he kept on preying on vulnerable dudes afterwards by selling his course to vulnerable dudes. He just does that. He preys on vulnerable dudes. That's his whole grift. So I heard a weird bird noise. I think that might have been in Kareem's background, maybe? I don't know.
Might have been. I have a parrot. He's wild.
Either way, we will talk about all this stuff on more streams, I'm assuming.
Yes.
We've got probably business to attend to after this particular call.
I do, yes. All right. And I'll join Liberimer.
I'll send you an invite link to the server.
I'm going to be an anarcho-monarchist.
Right?
That doesn't, but that can't exist. Like, you get, can't exist.
Yeah, but that doesn't stop people from saying that's what they are, nor does it make people more inclined to it.
I'm the king of my own island.
Well, the only king I respect is King Sonic. He was a reasonable and fair ruler. You should read the comics. He was reasonable. You're just like, I don't want to. That's way too much lore for a hedgehog. And I'm like, yes. And I know all of it. So anyway, that'd be the unhinged rant. You said you wanted this to be an hour, so it's sort of like one of my videos where I say I'm gonna keep this short, and then it's fucking not.
Well, yeah, it's like everything I do. I'm like, yeah. I even guesstimate. I'm like, oh yeah, these gigs take 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, it's been 2 hours and a half. I'm like, yeah, but I had to do this, and this. I'm like, I'm not good at time management.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I can't be a good feudalist.
JC says the first step to being a strong man is to stop spending so much time online and pursuing cam girls for affection. Okay, but if your time is entirely spent scamming those same dudes online with cam girls for their affection, maybe your life is online too, and you have no business saying that. But Andrew Tate is a massive scumbag fucking grifter and a sex trafficking, sex assaulting piece of shit. Like taking responsibility for your future, yeah. Taking responsibility for your future would be great. It would be great if Andrew Tate did that and didn't rely on scamming people to get where he is. As libertarians, we have to oppose scammers. Is that like actually controversial, JC? Or are you having difficulty being libertarian there?
Yeah, I have to look into it because here's the thing. A lot of stuff is what people want you to see, so it takes some time to look into. Okay, is this person good or bad? I had a positive look on Jeff Berwick, if you know who that is, for a very, very long time. I still liked his work at Anarchast, but then I found out some things that were less than ideal. So, I still think he did a great job with Anarchist. I used to think Kokesh was a great guy, but then I did see a lot of things that were not great. And then
JC, you're killing me. You're killing me. I'm not saying Tate isn't a scumbag grifter. Sometimes life isn't so black and white. Then show me the gray, motherfucker. Do that. Don't just leave it there. What the fuck, dude? Don't just tell me, oh, it's not so black and white. I'm gonna leave it nebulous and vague instead of actually.
I will say one thing that I do like is, or one thing that I see is from all of this that people belittled young men, and they still are, and at least they're looking for something to better their lives and not just being complacent.
And I then getting taken advantage of because they don't have a fucking clue what better looks like.
Well, maybe I'll step that role up at some point and then show what's up, because
be an anti-manosphere manfluencer.
Look, because one thing people don't factor in is if T levels keep dropping, authoritarians can just run everybody over because testosterone will be down. Everybody will be like, meh. And when my T was down, I didn't. It's not that I wasn't an anarchist, but I didn't care about. I was just like, yeah, I guess the government's kind of evil. It ain't too good. And then you get it up, you're like, all right, let's go, authoritarians. Brr.
And like, here's the other half of that is that testosterone raises and is maintained at high levels when you routinely win dominance struggles. Keeping people beaten down keeps their testosterone low. It's like an artificial castration to keep people enslaved.
Yeah, and to me that's
JC. There is no excuse. Both sides are not at fault.
If
one side thought that they were being nice to a woman, and one side took advantage of weak men. Okay. That side is in the wrong. Andrew Tate is the only bad guy here. They're not both at fault.
We can discuss it because I've heard multiple different things. Some people do like him. Some people say he's force for good. Some people say he's force for evil.
If they think a scammer is a force for good, then they're a piece of shit.
And there's, I don't know. Some people say
libertarians need to support anti-fraud efforts. If we don't, then we don't use proper reputation signaling, and even by Leeson's mentality, that is not even easy case anarchy.
Yes, correct.
You lose immediately, and the tyrants win if you support Andrew Tate.
Okay. Like I said, we'll we can do a stream. We can look into it and see what's going on. And
cool.
If it's there. It's there. That's what I always say with people. People, unfortunately, I have a lot of people that come and just say, Cream, you should not like this person. I'm like, well, why? And they're like, well, me and him, had a disagreement, and we said this, and he said that, and she said this, and she doesn't agree with this. Like Justin Padini is an example. I still like Justin. You two,
I don't.
Or I still get along with Jeffrey Phillips when we talk about crypto, but I know I'm not going to bring up diets or anything. I was like, hey, I bought some beef jerky today.
See,
I can live with discrepancies because I think getting along with somebody and working towards a goal is better. So I always say,
when I posted a link talking about the child porn that the MMA fighter he was promoting because he's vegan was involved in, you know what Jeffrey Phillips did? He reacted with a shock emoji. And I think he probably looked into it and realized, yeah, this guy's fucked up. Maybe I won't promote him again.
That's good.
When Justin Pedini said that we should be more concerned about trans people in women's sports than a fucking I, and I said he's full of shit, and this is how the elites win by like leading you around by a leash of bigotry. I got endlessly spammed for
I
a
get it.
really long fucking time by him in his comments, consistently insulted, insinuations of pedophilia, insinuations of a wide variety of things, and treated like shit by a piece of shit who can't even schedule a debate because he claims that he has an acidity disorder that blocks him from scheduling things. That is worse. It's not remotely on the same level. I mean, Jeffrey Phillips has his issues. Do not get me wrong. I disagree with him in a variety of ways, but at least he's willing to hear my words.
Mm-hmm.
And he isn't spamming me constantly, which is fucking nice on its own.
That is. So yeah, we'll look into is Andrew Tate good or bad, and then come up with a conclusion. I don't know. But
and of course, I'll bring my cynical asshole, like insane bipolar energy to the table. Fucking being fucking white Kanye over here.
Okay, fair enough. I'll just make sure we back it by sources. All right, guys. Yeah, he gives no false image of what manhood is. Superficialness based on talking of the abuse of power. Yeah. And to be fair, I was a big fan of Peterson for a while, and then I backed off of that. I thought, oh, wow, Jordan Peterson's really, doing...
Did you hear about the bullshit lately, dude?
No, I don't.
Okay, he tweeted out this cock milking fetish video from Europe, and he claimed that this was happening in China and that they were like going to sterilize men or something like that. And it was a cock milking porn fetish video, and he's dumb. And another time, he got into a fight with a paper towel dispenser because it had a sticker on it that said, "Put your paper waste in the paper waste bin, and your non-paper waste in the non-paper waste bin, and don't waste paper. Don't use too many paper towels." And he's like, "This is the start of tyranny. I'm gonna paper towels. First it's paper towels, and then it's the Holocaust." Fuck you, Jordan. Holy shit. Go watch a Disney movie and calm down.
No, don't watch a Disney movie, but calm down.
Zootopia's great. Zootopia's about how they used drugs in the Iran Contra affair to poison the inner city with drugs so that they would have a justification for a greater police presence.
Interesting. Okay.
It's about the Iran Contra affair, racism, and also slight intonations of the MK programs and the fact that the government was literally creating the drugs so that they could poison people with them and control their minds.
Yeah.
It's a really, really good movie. Zootopia fucking tones.
Actually, I've been reading a lot. I've been obsessed with the gateway process for good reason. Well, maybe not for a great reason, but for different reasons. But anyway. We'll get into that as well. Is there anything else before we cut it off? Peterson.
Yeah.
And even like
if you're going to look about masculine influencers, don't look at Andrew Tate. Look at Sonic. He's a much better masculine influence.
Or David Goggins, maybe.
Like look at this guy. This guy knows how to be a man. You see this guy?
What color is your Chaos Emerald?
You need all 7 in order to function. That's the thing. Diversity is strength.
Yes, but I was making the joke. What color is your Bugatti?
Yeah, right.
So you're not a top G?
No, I don't want to be a G. I want to take down every G.
You're not going to smoke cigars at every chance you get.
No, because you know what smoking cigars does? It fills your lungs with scar and tar, and it fills your blood vessels up with a bunch of garbage. That's why you shouldn't smoke anything, and at the very most vape. If you're gonna get involved in any of that thing, yeah, sure. Let me support big tobacco and damage my lungs. No, thank you. The Koch brothers don't pay me yet.
We'll get you some Coke money.
No, but
we'll get you some Soros money. Oh,
but we can talk about the potential other shit here.
All right.
Goku is inferior to Sonic in every power scale.
You know who's the real masculine avatar? The Doomslayer.
Doomslayer is pretty decent, but he doesn't have any solid, stable philosophy.
Okay.
Joshua Graham is reasonable.
Master Chief. Master
Nah,
Chief.
he's a UN. What? Without enslavement and in the literal United, he's a space globalist.
No, he stopped communism. Well, you know what? The Flood got Marxist communism to work, but then he blew him up, which is good.
I don't care what the end result is. Without their meddling, without the meddling of people like them, things would have been better.
But you don't like Halo?
Halo's fun. It's a fun game to play. It's not great philosophy.
I mean, I don't read it for philosophy. I don't know anyone who's like, man, you know, I'm going to put down my Nietzsche to hit up some UNSC.
But you know what you should do in concurrence with your Nietzsche and your Descartes and your Diogenes? You should read the Sonic comics.
Okay. So Master Kratos is a good for young men. Young men should take after Kratos.
If I were to go with a good modernized example, it'd probably be Aiden Pierce from Watch Dogs. He's a great father.
Okay.
Like, he got pissed. He did something about it. He was willing to go through absolute hell and break every law. Be Aiden Pierce. Fuck CTOS.
All right. Is there anything else?
Fuck CTOS and the ATF. Anyway.
All right. I think that's it. All right, guys. So without any more things, modern Kratos, not OG Kratos. All right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in. We'll see which way Twitter goes or doesn't go. I'm still on the platform, so you can follow me there. You can also follow Jeremy at Insanity is Free and Jeremiah Talks on YouTube. He's a happy dude sometimes. And I will catch you in the next one. This is Kareem with the Essential Libertarians, giving you the tools for self-governance. See you in the next one.